FromSoftware, famous for building masterclasses in difficulty. Games meant to be won through sheer skill, patience, and frame-perfect dodges. But is this actually true? So today, I will be beating Bloodborne the way FromSoftware truly intended. Hi, I'm StreamerMind, and if you don't subscribe, you'll have Asmongold's life expectancy. Since FromSoftware supposedly makes art games, I guess the real intended path to take at the start isn't the simple and pathetic press a button and be happy option. No, it has to be painful as getting repeatedly bitten by a rotting werewolf with a questionable diet and lack of personal space. Finally, I got it. Obviously, I died on purpose here just to show the skip again for the short kids in the back of the bus who couldn't see it the first time. Once successful, we pick up the Cainherd summons, we meet up with my new Russian wife I bought off the internet, and I thought I could get a leg up by killing the fake Yuzevka, but unfortunately it's impossible as she is apparently immortal. I just thought that if I hit her hard enough, she'll finally accept to go out on a date with me, but turns out women don't really like that. We learn new things every day, fellas. Now that we have early access to the Forbidden Woods, we can farm the snake pile for blood shards. The drop rate isn't the best, which gave me the opportunity to farm a good amount of blood echoes to dump into my arcane. Once I got all 8 blood shards I needed, I could finally start the first area of the game, where we can find the rest of the blood shards we need to upgrade to +3. While we're at it, I can improve my social skills by talking to a 5-year-old girl who weirdly sounds like a 40-year-old spider who gave us a tonsil stone.
Hey you, do you want free Robux?
Once I got everything I needed from South London, I went back to Florida to pick up the remaining twin shards I missed, and now we can get our saw cleaver to +6. Finally, we are ready for Papa Guess I Just Killed My Wife coin. And despite having over 1,000 hours on this game, I couldn't get a parry even if my life depended on it. Hell yeah, first try. I bitch slapped him like a pimp arguing with his hoe, and that made him mad and he started saying some nonsense before pulling out his long stick. Joke's on him, once he pulls out his spin to win attack, he becomes way easier to parry. Thanks, Dad. And by being extremely aggressive, we can easily skip his beast phase, just as FromSoftware intended. After picking up the Blood Gem Workshop tool and entering Cathedral Ward, I went back to deal with an overgrown dog with a passion for screaming in your ears until they bleed. Well, by popping a Beast Blood pellet, we got nothing to worry about. Also, the Saw Cleavage deals serration damage that gives us a 20% bonus attack against beasts, so that's nice. And with a final charge R2, Elmo goes down. I bought the most expensive key in the world, opened up Cathedral Ward, and after being able to survive what is your typical walk home from the pub in London, I made it to Hemwick. Upon arriving in the desperate housewife's village, I unlocked the shortcut and made my way to the witches. I made the sensible choice of getting the fuck out of the boss fight after triggering it, and I spent my insight to make an easy fight even easier. Now, as I just said, the witches are the hardest boss in the game. Everyone knows this, but there is an easy way to break this fight by just infinitely backstabbing them. I exploited this shit out of the mechanic flaw until the witches were no more. After picking up the Rune Workshop tool, we could reach Cainherd's. And here, I met with my girlfriend after I didn't answer one of her phone calls. I think she took it well. But no matter, because we can now obtain the most broken item in Bloodborne, the Executioner's Gloves. However, in order to make these the true powerhouse they are, we will need lots of Arcane. Which means that just like everybody in the world, we need money, and lots of it. So I ran around Cainherd's to get all the valuable gear casually laying around the castle. And I went back to the Forbidden Woods to farm for more echoes, in order to reach 43 Arcane. Which is way more than enough to deal with the crackhead who hangs out in front of the supermarket. This must be the way to beat the game, because these gloves are amazing. With this build, I am unstoppable, so I paid a visit to the mandatory Dark Souls 2 moment, the shadows. Being NPC, they are exceptionally weak to the gloves, as they tend to dodge the bullets before they even leave my hands, giving the homing menstrual blood the time to adjust its trajectory and staggering them every time. This should be a cakewalk. Truth is, I wasn't hitting the shadows hard enough, so I went back to the lamp and began doing what Miyazaki clearly wants you to do in situations like these. Farm and overlevel in order to do awful things to his game. By just following the route back to the Discord moderator, I could quickly obtain the echoes I needed. After accumulating wealth through the exploitation of others, I quickly went back to the Cathedral Ward, dropped down what should be a deadly fall, entered the abandoned warehouse and got my grandmother's sundress. To think of all the memories I have of her wearing this. Which is why I sold it for a couple more points in Arcane. She was a bitch. And finally, we are ready for our rematch. Definitely the most annoying fight in the game. I came to appreciate it more over the years, but that's just because I found out that I have a Dark Souls 2 fetish. Luckily, our next fight is Amelia, and once again, an overleveled arcane maniac armed with a pair of gloves completely trivializes the encounter with everyone's favorite furry. FromSoftware approved. If Amelia was an easy fight, the same thing cannot be said about this overcooked potato, because it was even easier. After clearing out the spiders, I just unloaded the power of the menstrual blood to completely trivialize the fight. Even the second phase where Rom actually does something was just as easy. Yes, the little spiders are still annoying as fuck, but that goes for any run really. Terrible boss, I'll take the covetous demon over whatever this was supposed to be any day. But with great cheese comes great responsibility. So after meeting with the happiest bride in history, I went back to touch Lawrence's skull in order to get to the DLC.
Dark Souls 2 is the best Souls game.
What the fuck? Anyways, DLC, the so-called hardest part of the game. Here, we can meet with the locals to share wonderful moments together. I played with some healthy looking dogs, ran around picking up other people's junk as a hobby, including some very valuable blood rocks, gems, and obviously gloves. And just as FromSoftware intended, we can randomly sit down while being chased by your average American teenager. But most importantly, we can get the pizza cutter. And I'm Italian, so you can bet your ass this shit is very serious. Then I encountered Ludwig, who is I gave the British looking horse a try using the gloves, but my cortisol levels weren't high enough and I got my shit rocked, as you would expect. Luckily, I had another plan. I returned to Yahar'gul to get blood chunks, but realized I broke the sequence of events because time is convoluted, and the hidden village was locked out of the Blood Moon phase, which meant that most late game items here wouldn't spawn, but also no enemies around. Luckily, some important items such as the Tiny Nitrous and the Upper Cathedral Key were still in their place. Don't worry guys, this is definitely how FromSoftware intended you to beat the game. Since Dark Beast Carl was hot and in my area, I decided to visit him. I got him down on all fours and began riding him hard with my gloves. The real issue at this point was how to get past the one Reborn. Fortunately, this game is very old, and people found a workaround. Respawn at the chapel lamp and follow the path. Drop down here. And what we want to do now is jump and land on the little ledge created by this tower's rooftop. Then you want to slowly run against the structure before jumping off as shown in the video. This will get us to enter Death Camp. From here, all we need to do is walk to the boss arena to trigger the cutscene. As you can see, we have 2 moons in the sky, and usually we have 1. Miyazaki is a genius. The lighting does look better with the 2 moons on screen, and I died. And that's a good thing, because it means we can do that shit all over again. Drop here, jump on the ledge, run towards the structure, jump and enter Death Camp and make it back all the way to the arena. Walk on the other side of the plaza and touch a dead body for hygiene purposes. And finally, we can make it to Mensis. Finally, the endgame, where we can get lots of upgrade materials for our pizza cutter, as well as finally meeting up with everyone's favorite runner. He runs so much and loves it so much that he is one of the 3 people who actually played that new marathon game. Anyways, Micolash can be easily cheesed using a mix of the gloves in phase 1, especially if you unload your nut from outside the arena. Unfortunately though, I forgot to recharge my bullets. We can then use poison knives in his second phase, thrown from the balcony like I am Julia and he is my Romeo. And just like that, we got Micolash to finally get back into his mother's basement. Progressing through the next area will provide me with some much needed blood chunks, as well as the soul healing activity of sticking my hand up a giant pig's butthole for stacks of blood echoes, that we will need in order to get stronger for the DLC. I sold some of the items I found on my journey. I finally began leveling up my ability and strength. Then, after farming some more and finding more chunks, I upgraded my World Jigsaw to +9. And I dropped a whale-sized shit down the well. When you need to go guys, you need to go. And I began farming the winter lanterns for some better gems. Since I'm here, I paid a visit to another sexy woman in my area who is ready and willing. I hit her with the menstrual cycle strat and honestly, the gloves simply break this game completely. Exactly as intended. You can even hear a baby crying in the background after the fight because this game was made for babies. Babies with 9 eyes and 4 arms, but still babies. What is not for babies supposedly is the DLC. Or well, so people say. Truth is, with the World Jigsaw, some Beast Blood pellets, and level 5 gems, this fight against Bloodwick becomes a walk in the park, even with our low vitality. Luckily though, to every madness there is a mad solution. So I traveled back to Old Yharnam to grab the ritual blood, created the first Chalice dungeon and absolutely destroyed both the layer 1 and layer 2 boss, which drops the route to Marrow Chalice dungeon. Then, since Soulsborne games are actually based on skills, I gave Sony my mom's credit card information. That allows me access to the most broken items in the games. Because nothing is harder than asking 10 bucks to your mom at 30 years old. This is where the fun begins. To achieve greatness we must reach mediocrity first. In other words, we'll need to grind some decent gems in order to get the good ones. Luckily, here, there is a Harry Potter ogre near the lamp on the first layer that we can cheese over and over for gems and blood echoes. Make sure to grind as much as possible for levels because the next boss, boy is a doozy. Luckily, he's easily parable. Using the gloves on the second layer boss proved to be completely ineffective, so I quickly traveled to Upper Cathedral Ward to get the Cosmic Eye badge for infinite Beast Blood pellets, and after farming the ogre in layer 1 for hours, I was ready to face this monstrosity. Now that I had the E-Heal Root Chalice, I was going to need to make the FRC version, meaning I needed materials. Lots of materials. And so, let the real grind begin. Fortunately, if you thoroughly search this dungeon, you should be able to collect everything you need, or most of it. Now, in order to find the poor man gems we're looking for, we need to access this dungeon with this glyph, kill the layer 1 boss, and reach the second floor, where we can kill these e-girls over and over. Finally, I obtained 2 perfect poor man radials, which offer a 12.2 plus 27% boost to physical damage when our health is below 20%, just like the red tear stone ring in Dark Souls. Now this should level the playing field against Ludwig. Alright, you crazy horse, time for an epic battle. See? Totally balanced, just as FromSoftware intended. Though we had the power of 2 atomic bombs in our hands, we still weren't optimized, as our next boss is Lawrence, which has the highest amount of HP out of any boss in the game. So, I bought the East Sinister Root Chalice and jumped back into the Chalices to meet with this lovely lady over and over. Finally, after an hour of farming, I got what I paid Sony $10 to get, and I progressed my way through the DLC. I don't know why, but FromSoftware made me beat up yet more women, as that's all I've been doing for the past 4 hours, including Ludwig obviously. After getting Lawrence's skull, which is empty, go figure, I headed down to wake him up. Aww, ain't he cute when he's sleepy? Come on, wakey wakey Lawrence. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you deal with the Cleric beast. After the pure humiliation on my part, since I actually paid to win, I collected all the brain fluid laying around. Why am I collecting brain fluid and not, I don't know, daisies? Who knows? Ask Miyazaki. All I know is that this mate Adeline gave me her blood, which is a bummer, because I was really hoping she would allow me a sneak peek at her feet. 0 out of 10 game, not enough feet, Miyazaki. What the hell are we doing here? After that, I had to smack her to get her brain fluid and then fed her own brain fluid to get the milk we drew. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck just happened, but I'll just roll with it, baby. So, just as intended, I turned myself into a cauliflower and got all set up for the living failures. So, in order to beat these wonderful creatures, all I did was farm the respawning failure in this corner over and over. I guess someone at the studio playtested this fight, looked at it real good and decided, yep, this is totally how we want you to fight these guys. Failures, not just in name, I guess. Who is not a failure, or well, she is, but never to my eyes, is my beloved Lady Maria, which is a bit too much to handle in RTSR mode. So you know what that means. Back to farming. First of all, I absolutely melted the giant smurf and did the same thing to Ebrietas. Before searching up this glyph to kill the 3 ogre bosses to farm the best physical gems in the game. Once I found both 27% radials, I hit up the glyph and farmed the boss on the first layer for the triangular version. With this, I could absolutely smack the shit out of Maria without the fear of getting hit. I hoped I could finish her off before the final phase transition, but I didn't have the damage. Goodbye, goth mommy. Finally, we're at the final area of the DLC. I spoke to this fine gentleman for an item we are never going to use, traversed the area and had my usual intense welcome from the Albine baby. Now, I was going to need some minor modifications to my build, so I went out of my way to get the 10 and 20% Kero runes to increase my rally potential. Unfortunately, I lost the footage. Here is a working glyph that you can use to obtain the 20% quickly. And now, baby, it's time for an epic showdown. They say money doesn't buy happiness, but with $10, I bought this, and I am very happy. For the final confrontation with Gehrman, I visited a couple more Chalice dungeons to farm some of the best Arcane gems for my Parasite of Kos. And after another hour spent looking at the same dungeon over and over, I was ready for the final showdown. The crippled old man in a wheelchair against a vegetable. They really don't make games like this anymore.
It doesn't matter. Tonight, Gehrman joins the hunt.
Il sogno sono stati lunghi.
Alright guys, thank you all for watching this adventure. If you enjoyed the video, please consider smashing that subscribe button for more. And please, tell me in the comments... Oh right, shit, I forgot about the super secret ending. So, before the fight, I popped the 3 umbilical cords, entered back into the flower garden, and now, this is going to be the real deal. Well guys, the sun rose, morning is here, and this is the real ending of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you would like to see next on the channel. I've been away for a couple months, but now I'm back. Peace!
Addio, buon cacciatore. Che tu possa trovare la via nel mondo della veglia.